Hi, this is Anil from Learning Led Education and welcome to another tutorial on C programming language. And in this tutorial, I'm going to teach you how we're going to swap two numbers by using a temporary variable. If you want to swap two numbers and you don't want to use a temporary variable, then you guys need to watch my another tutorial. And here, just going to be using the temporary variable to get the job done. So here, I have created this swap two numbers project in my core blocks IDE, and I have this main.c file and I have this main function inside that file. And here first what we're going to do is we're going to define some variables, and our variables are going to be of type integers, and I'm going to call my first variable as x, and then I'm going to call my second variable as y, and then we're going to have another variable and I'm going to call it as temp, and I'm going to initialize my temp variable with a value of 0. Alright, now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to ask the user to enter the values for the x and y. So I'm going to use a printf function, and then we're going to say enter the values for x and y. Alright, now we're going to use the scanf function and we're going to receive the input from the user. So it's going to be scanf, the function name, and then we're going to use the format specifier as %d and %d because we are receiving two values. And then we're going to store the values in our x variable, and then we're going to store the values in our y variable. Now after this statement, the user is going to enter the values, and that values are going to be stored in this x and y. And before swapping the values of this x and y, what we're going to do is we're just going to print out the values. So I'm going to use a printf function again, and here I'm going to say before swapping x equal to %d and y equal to %d, and then we're going to refer the variables x and y. Alright, now here what we're going to do is we're going to swap the values of this x and y. So to swap the values of this x and y by using a temporary variable, or by using a third variable, we can use this logic. You guys can see here the logic is, first we're gonna store the value of our x variable in the temp variable. At that time our temp variable and our x variable are gonna be containing the same value, and then we're gonna store the value of y variable in our x variable. So at that time x is gonna contain the value of y variable and y variable is gonna contain its own value, and our temp variable is going to contain the value of x. And in the third step, what we're going to do is we're going to assign the value which we have stored in the temp variable in the y variable. So after these three steps, our x variable's value will be stored in the y variable and y variable's value will be stored in the x variable. Now if it is confusing, don't worry, we're going to see an example. So let's say the user is going to enter a value of 5 for the variable x and 8 for the variable y, and also we have stored a value of 0 in our temp variable. So now the first step is going to be we're going to write temp equal to x, or we're going to be storing the value of our x variable in the temp variable. So at that time our x is containing a value of 5 and our y is containing a value of 8, and because of this temp equal to x, this temp variable is gonna contain the value of 5. So after this first step, x and temp are gonna contain the value of 5 and y is gonna contain 8. Then in the second step, what we're gonna do is we're gonna write x equal to y. We're gonna store the value of y variable in the x variable, and after executing this second step, what happens is our x variable is gonna contain the value of y, which is 8. So this x is gonna contain 8, and then our y is gonna contain 8. We haven't modified the value of y variable, and our temp variable is containing the value of 5. Now you guys can see here, in the first step we have stored the value of 5 in the temp variable, or we have stored the value of x variable in the temp variable. So in the third step, what we're gonna do is we're gonna write y equal to temp. So at that time what happens is our x variable is containing the value of 8. It is not modified in the third step, and then our y variable will get the value of temp, and that's why it's gonna get the value of 5. You guys can see here temp is containing 5, and here it's gonna be 5, and temp will contain 5. Alright, now after executing these 3 steps, what happens is our x variable is gonna contain a value of 8 and y is containing a value of 5. So you guys can see here in the beginning x was containing 5 and y was containing 8, and after executing these 3 steps, or after applying this logic, our x and y variables values are swapped. So this is going to be the logic that we're going to use in our program to swap the values of 2 numbers, and we're going to do that by using this temporary, or the third variable. Alright, now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to apply this logic to our code. So here first we're going to write temp equal to x, then we're going to write x equal to y, and then we're going to write y equal to temp. Alright, now the last thing that we're gonna do is we're just gonna print out these swapped values. So I'm gonna copy this printf statement and I'm gonna paste it here, and I'm gonna say after swapping, and then I'm gonna save my project and I'm gonna build and run it. And now you guys can see here, first we need to enter the values for our x and y. I'm gonna enter a value of 5 for x, and I'm gonna enter 8 for y. And now you guys can see before swapping x is 5 and y is 8, and after swapping x is 8 and y is 5. So we can say that our program has successfully swapped the values of 2 numbers. And if you want to run it again, I'm just gonna close it and run it again. So run, and this time we're gonna enter some other values, let's say 10 and 20 for x and y respectively. And you guys can see here before swapping x is 10, y is 20, and after swapping x is 20 and y is 10. So this is how you guys can swap 2 numbers by using a temporary variable. As I told you before, if you want to swap the values of 2 numbers and you don't want to use the temporary variable, then you guys can check out my another tutorial where I have taught you guys about that. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channels so that whenever I upload new videos, you're gonna be get notified. And also you guys can like my Facebook page at facebook.com/learninglad. Follow me on Twitter at learninglad.edu, and check out my website learninglad.com for more tutorials.